Slight chance of rain in the morning. Look for highs to be in the upper 60s. The west wind at 25 miles per hour. Gusts should be up to around 45 miles per hour.
.3 FM and 1340 AM KIHR and GorgeRadio.com presents the Mid-Columbia Today Show with Mark Bailey. Special thanks to our sponsors, Skyline Hospital, Eastside Paving, and Del Carpine Automotive. Now, here's Mark Bailey.
Good morning. It is 8:05, Mid-Columbia Today. It is a Tuesday, the 30th of June, the last day of June. If you are listening live, if you are listening on the podcast, it might be July 8th. I have no idea. Up to when you listen to it. Of course, remember, we're available wherever you get podcasts. Just search Mid-Columbia Today and we'll pop up and you can subscribe, and the show is always right there on your phone. Here's what we're doing this morning. Jessica Metta is going to be here. Actually, she's going to be on the phone, but she'll be here in the broadcast sense. Mid-Columbia Economic Development District Executive Director. And we're going to talk to her about the update they do every few years of the Regional Economic Development Strategy for the Mid-Columbia. And this is, for Skamania, Klickitat, Hood River, Wasco, Sherman, and Gillum counties. And starting in July, they're going to be having sessions with the public invited to take part on developing a 5-year plan for the region and how it should position itself for economic development. And they're going to have one meeting in each county. The first one's going to be in Stevenson on July 23rd in Skamania County at the Hegewald Center. But they're going to go to Klickitat County, Wasco, Hood River, Sherman, and Gillum counties through February to develop this. So we're going to have her on in a few minutes. Second half, I'm not quite sure what we're going to do. I had one of those days yesterday where I called around for people trying to fill this particular spot on the show. I filled a whole bunch of spots. We're almost filled up till I go on vacation in July. But I couldn't find anybody for this one, which it drives you crazy in this job sometimes. But if that's the way things work, I'm sure we will say something. Oh, I'm just noticing here. I was looking for something else. Congratulations, Hood River Valley Little League 12 and under girls. They've won their district championship. Played 3 games, won them 50-4. They're going to state. So congratulations to them. That's always a great thing. I know there's one level of Little League tournament, district tournament going on starting tomorrow in Hood River at Westside. They're going to play at 6 o'clock in the evenings for about a week. I don't have it in front of me. But I do know that it's coming. And it starts tomorrow. So if you were looking for something to do, not a bad way to spend an evening supporting the youngsters out there. Anyway, before we get too far afield here and waste too much time, let's tell you what this day is meant and what it means, at least to some people. This day in 1918, labor activist and socialist Eugene Debs was arrested in Cleveland, charged under the Espionage Act of 1917 for a speech he made 2 weeks earlier in which he denounced U.S. involvement in World War I. Debs was sentenced to prison and disenfranchised for life. Now, AP writes the Associated Press. I don't know what it means to be disenfranchised for life. Cameron is going to answer this for me, I think.
It means you can't vote.
Oh, okay. Oh, very good. That's good there. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's for a speech in this country. Mm-hmm. Shows you free speech has not always necessarily been free speech.
Nope.
Anyway, 1936, Gone with the Wind was released. The novel, Margaret Mitchell's novel, came out. The movie would come a bit later. 1958, the U.S. Senate passed the Alaska Statehood Bill. By the way, instead of using disenfranchised for life, why don't we just use it was not allowed to vote for the rest of his life in this country, which would be more accurate and easier to understand. But anyway. 1971, the Supreme Court ruled 6-3 the government should not prevent the New York Times or the Washington Post from publishing the Pentagon Papers. 1985, 39 American hostages from a hijacked TWA jetliner were freed in Beirut after being held for 17 days. I hesitate to bring this up because most Oregonians of my age would probably prefer to forget this moment in history. 1994, the U.S. Figure Skating Association stripped Tanya Harding of the national championship and banned her for life for her role in the attack on rival Nancy Kerrigan. It is hard for me to understate how big a play that Chris Harding, being from the Portland and Vancouver area, how big a play that story got around here. I mean, it was just massive. You could not escape it, and goodness knows I tried. That's the one I always told Jeff when he did this segment. We need to relegate this to the dustbin of history and just not bring it up anymore. And here I am bringing it up. What a hypocrite I am. Also, I'm just going to run this through real quick here. 2020, then Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves signed a landmark bill retiring the last state flag bearing the Confederate battle emblem. Boston's Arts Commission voted unanimously to remove a statue depicting a freed slave kneeling at Abraham Lincoln's feet. And in 2022, Ketanji Brown Jackson sworn in to the U.S. Supreme Court, shattering a glass ceiling as the first black woman on the nation's highest court. Our days for today, it is International Asteroid Day today. It's also National Meteor Watch Day today. They kind of go together. It's National Outfit of the Day. I'm not sure what the outfit of the day is, so I can't tell you how to celebrate it. I guess it's your choice. And whether you want to celebrate this or bemoan it, I'm not sure which. It's Social Media Day today, which was declared by some social media company, by the way. So maybe ignoring it would be the best thing. We don't have any food today. There was no food day on the list today. So eat what you want. 8:11 in the morning, Jessica Metta from McKed coming up next.
Celebrate the 4th of July Hood River style. Kick off the holiday at the Hood River Parade starting at 10 a.m. in the Heights, then enjoy a full day of community celebration across the gorge. Hood River Fireworks is a 100% community-funded nonprofit, and our annual raffle is the primary way we raise funds to keep this tradition alive year after year. Donate today and enter to win your share of over $5,000 in raffle prizes while supporting this incredible community event. Learn more, donate, and enter at hoodriverfireworks.com. Then join us for the fireworks show on the scenic Hood River waterfront at 10 p.m. this 4th of July.
The Hood River County Fair returns July 22nd through 25th. Bring the whole family for days packed with carnival rides, great fair food, livestock, exhibits, local traditions, and unforgettable entertainment. Friday night, celebrate with the incredible show band Bondadosis and Grupo Maravilla de Robin Maravilla live on stage. Then Saturday night, country legends Black Hawk take the stage for a concert you won't want to miss. Summer memories are made at the Hood River County Fair in Odell, July 22nd through 25th. Concerts are free with fair admission.
Mid-Columbia Today is a public affairs program of Bi-Coastal Media Columbia River, 98.3 FM and 1340 AM KIHR and GorgeRadio.com. Now, back to Mark Bailey.
And it is now 8:14 in the morning on Mid-Columbia Today, and we're happy to have with us now Jessica Metta joins us from Mid-Columbia Economic Development District, the Executive Director. Good morning, Jessica.
Hi, good morning, Mark.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Oh, not bad. Just kind of moving along, waiting for the wind to die down a little bit, but I'm going to wait a while, apparently.
Yeah.
We're going to jump in here, though. We're going to talk about something that McKed does every about 5 years or so, and that is starting to work on a regional economic development strategy. It's about every 5 years, isn't it?
That is correct.
So, what will you be trying to accomplish here in the next few years? What does this strategy try to entail?
So we work to bring the whole region together, really, to talk about where are we going as a region economically and where do we hope to go. And then through that process, really come up with strategies that encompass many organizations across the region. It's a strategy that's much larger than just McKed, but it can really give a lot of our organizations direction and just a good touch point with the community.
And we should know when we say in the region in this case, we're talking it's a bi-state district. You've got Skamania and Klickitat counties on one side of the river, Hood River, Wasco, Sherman, and Gillum counties on the other side. If I remember right, Gillum is a very recent addition, as in adding in for this process to get underway.
Yes, for a number of years ago, Gillum County reached out that with the interest of joining the McKed Economic Development District, and it was a multi-year process of making sure that by doing that, the original McKed counties are still well represented, and that the organization can handle the additional county. That economically it makes sense to. We actually had to get letters from both the Oregon and Washington governors, and then submit a lot of information to the U.S. Economic Development Administration, which is our federally cognizant agency that designates us. And so they had to approve changing the boundaries to add Gillum County, which just happened at the end of March. So this is their first time of being involved in the whole process. Mm-hmm. Although they've done it before with other districts.
Other entities, but now joining the Mid-Columbia District. As I mentioned, you go through this every 5 years. What do you anticipate maybe we may see changes from the current plan that was put together to the strategy that may get put together for the upcoming 5 years? I mean, obviously conditions don't remain the same. They're always changing. Where do we maybe foresee we might see some adjustments in the strategy that we use?
Well, our last one was developed through community meetings in 2021, where we were definitely still deep in COVID. All of the community sessions, which we have a series of 6. Last time they were all virtual, and with that shadow of COVID and recovery hanging over it, I think the last strategy was the first time that we saw discussions about the importance of childcare for the local economy. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes up again. I know obviously we haven't solved that problem. Housing is always top of mind as well, and I know that will still be there. I think what comes to me that feels really different in this moment is concerns about AI and data centers and electricity use and water use, and I feel like a lot of that is front of mind for people right now, and so it'll be interesting to see how that shows up in this strategy. The other a few months ago, actually, we had surveyed a lot of our partners, like our cities and counties, and some of the other topics that had come up for them out of that. Definitely, climate resilience is a big issue, and that's been in prior strategies, but I think especially with the fires that we experienced last year, and there's one right now, that it's even more important for people to be able to talk about that and what that means for our economy.
And the process you take to put this together, you're going to have 6 meetings over the course of about the next 7 to 8 months. You're going to go one time to each county, and you're going to focus on a specific area, aren't you, at each meeting?
Yes, sessions really build on each other and help develop one piece of the strategy. So, a lot of this work follows this says the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy is a piece of work that we need to do as part of our relationship with the U.S. Economic Development Administration, and they have criteria for what they want to see in the SEDS, and so we really organize our process around that, but also just what's important for our region. So the first meeting, we have a deep dive into economic and demographic data for the region to look at where we are now. We often do this as part of our an annual economic symposium that we put on, but this one will be a full session really just focused on data. And then the next meeting in September will have data specifically on our key industry sectors. So it looks at all the different pieces of the economy and where do we really see a lot of activity happening in the Mid-Columbia region, which kind of gives us an edge and could be something for us to latch on to keep this region competitive and help us continue to grow family wage jobs here. From there, we have your typical SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and then we develop a vision for this strategy for the region, specific goal areas. We then have strategies, so under each of those goal areas, we're really fleshing out what are those strategies that will help us achieve those goals. And then finally, how do we measure success? So what are the metrics that we want to be sure to be tracking to show that we are making progress?
Mm-hmm. I would think, developing, the measurements for success in something like this, especially when you're dealing with 6 different counties who, while they have common interests, also have their own, unique twist to everything they may be looking for economically. I would think that may be one of the most difficult parts is trying to determine, are the strategies working?
Yeah, and it's also, in some ways, it's really difficult to measure. Mm-hmm. We can always look at jobs, unemployment rate, number of jobs, mm-hmm. Average wages. Those pieces are data that we can easily get, but when it comes to, how are people doing, sometimes it can be really hard to measure.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think also I've had this discussion with some various folks on this show. In fact, actually over one land sale in particular that in the Hood River area, where it's one thing to just to get jobs. It's another thing to get the right kind of jobs that pay well and support people living here. And I would think, though, the definition of that probably differs from what it would take in Hood River County to what maybe a Gillum County needs.
Yes, that's definitely true. Each of the counties has a very different median wage, and then, compared to what the median household costs are,
right,
be able to afford to live in that community it can be very different.
You mentioned housing is one of the factors that we deal with in this, and there are lots of different groups and organizations and agencies that try to deal with the housing issue. For an organization like MCED, how do you try to involve yourself in the housing issue? Where is the role for an economic development organization?
We often play mostly a support role. As you know, the Housing Authority and MCAC, many of our partners are really focused on housing, and so there's a couple areas. Periodically, we've played a convener role to at least bring people together to share information or talk about what the issues are. We've done that in the past, specifically with planning staff. It's been really helpful for our different communities to share what they are doing to address the issues, and sometimes ideas have come out of that. We've invited in other communities from outside of the region that are doing a lot around housing to talk about what they're doing. So that's that kind of convening, information sharing role. We can play an advocacy role to just continue to be another voice talking about the importance of the problem. And then on the other side, we do have a small amount of lending resources available for helping to develop workforce housing. So unfortunately, it's only in our Oregon counties because it was some dollars that came from the governor's office a number of years ago through Business Oregon and Regional Solutions. But we have been able to use those loans to help build some workforce housing in the region.
Mm-hmm. One of the things also in each of these sessions I note that is going to be done, this kind of gets to that, as you try to work on a strategy that benefits all 6 counties, and that is after each planning session, there's going to be a tour, it sounds like, to help with the understanding of what each local jurisdiction, what each local community is dealing with as far as its economic viabilities.
Yeah, so we actually will start each session with some of the local economic development leaders, community leaders, talking about what are the specific opportunities and challenges within that county. And then after the public part of it, where we hear some information, we have some, breakout groups to talk through and help develop the strategy. And then we will adjourn for an optional industry tour, which I always really love those. It's whenever you can get into one of our local businesses and really see what they do and just all of the amazing things that are happening here it's just really rewarding. And so our first one is going to be touring WKO's mill in Carson, which actually I got to walk through about a year ago, and it's just fascinating how much technology is in our lumber mills to make sure that we are getting the most out of every piece of oh my gosh, I just totally blanked on the word. Every tree that comes out of the forest.
Yeah,
that we're
maximizing the input that comes into the plant to be able to use as much of what we're taking as possible.
Exactly, yes. So our first tour is WKO. We are our next session is going to be the plan is to be in Goldendale, and Klickitat Valley Health is one of our partners that some of the renewable energy and energy efficiency work that they've done to make that hospital be more resilient is just really amazing. Work led by Jonathan Lewis, who serves on our board, and so I thought it'd just be a great opportunity to highlight what they're doing up at Klickitat Valley Health. And then in October, we'll be in the Dalles, and another resource that we have here that makes me so excited is the Skills Center at Columbia Gorge Community College, and how that facility is being used to support businesses with prototyping, with research and development. I think it's not well known, and so I'm actually really excited to bring people to tour that space as well. From there, it's still in development, but the tours are really exciting.
Mm-hmm. So the first one is going to be July 23rd, here in about 3 weeks, from 9 to 11 at the Hegewald Center in Stevenson. And it's going to focus on, it sounds like, a lot of data at that meeting to kind of set the groundwork for developing this strategy. And really, this process is open to anyone, isn't it?
It really is. A lot of our, targeted invites are to some of our usual suspects with, the cities, the ports, the chambers, the counties. But we have industry leaders that are there. We have just really passionate community members that want to be a part of this. So it can be really anybody and everybody that wants to participate. And while the sessions build on each other, we do a catch-up at the beginning of each one. So if you can't make it to all 6, if you can only come to one, like that would still be very valuable for us. And they are free. So I think everyone should come.
It is, again, 8:30 in the morning on Mid-Columbia Today. Again, Mid-Columbia Economic Development District. They are going to be doing their regional economic development strategy. Again, July 23rd, Hegewald Center in Stevenson, the first session from 9 to 11. And, again, it's going to continue with, I think, Klickitat County is in September, the second meeting, if I see this right. But
yes.
More dates and times and locations will be announced as you go on along here. Hey, Jessica, thanks for doing this morning.
Thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate it.
Jessica Metta from Mid-Columbia Economic Development District. Bottom of the hour, we'll have news right after this.
The threat of wildfire poses a growing risk to Oregonians, and recent wildfires have provided some important lessons. You can prepare now by taking 3 important steps. Step 1. Contact your insurance company to make sure you have the right amounts and types of coverage. Step 2. Create a home inventory by taking photos or videos of your possessions in each room of your home. Step 3. Gather and make copies of important identifying and financial documents. Store them in the cloud or another secure location. These 3 actions can help you and your community be more resilient in the face of wildfire. Be wildfire ready by being insurance ready. Visit dfr.oregon.gov/prepare now to learn how. This message brought to you by the Oregon Division of Financial Regulation, the Oregon Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Coffee for Mid-Columbia Today guests is provided by Hood River Coffee Roasters, the gorgeous local coffee roasters, on Tucker Road on the Heights in Hood River.
And it is now 8:32 in the morning on Mid-Columbia Today. Checking out what's in the news, Click-Tech County Emergency Management on Monday evening reduced the evacuation advisories associated with the Lyle Hill fire. Areas that have been Level 3 go now have been reduced to Level 2 get set. And Level 2 areas of the community of Lyle have been lowered to Level 1 be ready. In addition, the Centerville Highway was reopened. Electronic message boards are being used in that area to remind vehicles to use caution and watch for first responders on the road. Also, a more accurate mapping has reduced the size of the fire to 233 acres, and containment is at 60%. The Southeast Washington Type 3 interagency team, now in command of the fire, says crews continued Monday to concentrate on strengthening fire lines and keeping it within its current perimeter after forward progress of the fire was stopped on Sunday night. Lyle Fire District 4, by the way, is asking for public assistance in the investigation of what started the fire in conjunction with the Washington Department of Natural Resources fire investigator. They are seeking pictures or videos showing the start of the fire, specifically taken on Sunday afternoon between 1:40 and 1:55. Also, investigators would like to know if anyone saw hikers in the area of Riverview Drive in Lyle before 1:40 Sunday afternoon. Send any photos or videos to Lyle Fire and Rescue with Facebook Messenger. The Supreme Court ruled on Monday states can count mail-in ballots that arrive after Election Day, a blow to the Trump administration and some Republican states that urged the justices to require all ballots to arrive at the close of polls. In a 5-4 decision, the court found that federal law does not prevent states from accepting late-arriving ballots. The ruling a victory for Democrats and voting rights advocates who had said setting a hard Election Day deadline for ballot arrival would risk disenfranchising voters amid fears of deteriorating mail service. 13 states, including Oregon and Washington, have similar laws, which extend a grace period to ballots that arrive through the mail after polls close. Reminder, fireworks are banned in Oregon state parks and along the coast this 4th of July. Officials warning a single spark could spark a wildfire. Fireworks can be dangerous, not just to those who handle them, but also to wildlife, other visitors, and the surrounding vegetation in the area, according to OSP officials. Mid-Columbia mornings time is 8:34. Our current temperatures, 52 in Stevenson, 57 in the Dalles, 55 in Hood River.
A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air is a proud sponsor of Hood River Valley High School athletics. As the only independent train dealer in the Gorge, A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air is here to serve your home comfort needs. It's hard to stop a train. aeheatingandcooling.com.
Headed to the big game or just need a quick pit stop? Sinclair has you covered. Snacks, drinks, and top quality fuel to keep you moving. Visit a Sinclair station in Hood River or the Dalles, your go-to spot for every drive. And save 20 cents per gallon on gas when using the DinoPay app.
Hey, it's Zach from Del Carpine Automotive. You know those tall Sprinter vans that look like they could secretly double as apartments? Yeah, we work on those, and we know them really well. Whether it's your adventure rig, work van, or mystery mobile full of camping gear and snacks from 2022, we've got you covered. We're now just 10 minutes up the hill in our great new location in Hood River. Come see us. From Mercedes and Ford, big rigs to Sprinters, no jobs too big or small. At Del Carpine, we work on them all. Family owned and locally trusted.
Mid-Columbia Today is a public affairs program of Bicoastal Media, Columbia River, 98.3 FM and 1340 AM KIHR and GorgeRadio.com. Now, back to Mark Bailey.
8:38 in the morning. We just heard the update on the World Cup. I can use the brand name because we're talking a news program here. A couple fairly traditional nations eliminated in yesterday's group of 32. Germany is out. Netherlands is out with Morocco and Paraguay advancing. They both won over those teams in penalty kicks. As you know, I'm not a soccer person. But I've always found that, and I understand you got to break the ties somehow because you could go on and on and on trying to break the ties, and it could be forever. They do it in the Stanley Cup playoffs, but it doesn't make that the right thing to do in this sport. But there's got to be a better way, isn't there, than just penalty kicks? Because a lot of that just comes down to waiting for somebody to miss the goal. The goalkeeper has to stand there until the ball is kicked by rule. Now, I think if you watch them, they lean a little. And basically, they guess which way the player's going to go, sometimes based on past knowledge of what they do. But there's only about one corner, maybe one side they can cover. If the guy goes to the other side, it's in the net, or the person misses the goal completely, at which point he's almost considered a pariah in the country in some of these nations because he missed at the World Cup. There's got to be a better way. I mean, even if it was just like the old North American Soccer League, I remember as a kid, they had a 35-yard line. They put the ball there. The guy would come running like a shootout in hockey. The guy would come up, and the goaltender could come out at him. At least it makes it a little more of a one-on-one competition than penalty kicks. I don't know. I may have insulted all the soccer purists. I didn't mean to. I can do that in much better ways than that. But I see Mexico plays Ecuador today. The Americans play tomorrow in the round of 32 against Bosnia and Herzegovina. A lot of people think the Americans now may be able to make a big run in this, which, frankly, the way big nations are falling, maybe that's a possibility. I said at the start of this, I thought this would be, if they won a World Cup, it would be a bigger miracle than the miracle on ice, the American Olympian kids beating the Soviet machine in hockey in '80. I think it would be that big an achievement. We'll see. We're only in the round of 32. The Americans did, I guess, lose to Turkey in the last group game. I guess it didn't mean much to the Americans. So, different lineup, things like that. Again, I'm not a soccer person. I don't know. We will mention, I have time here, that a couple Supreme Court decisions to mention here that have come up in the last few minutes. The Supreme Court today did uphold a broad conception of birthright citizenship. This rejected President Donald Trump's executive order declaring that children born to parents who are in the U.S. illegally or temporarily are not U.S. citizens. And that decision is in line with a long-standing judicial interpretation of the 14th Amendment. So that decision, the Supreme Court goes against the Trump administration there. I think there was another one here I was going to... the Supreme Court struck down limits on political party spending in federal elections because goodness knows we need more spending in elections. That'll help. I actually, what it comes really right down to, the best way for us to combat the floods of money into elections is to ignore the advertising. Now, I realize I'm biting the hand that feeds me somewhat here. I get that. But I'm going to take this as a more important level here. If we educate ourselves from good, credible sources, which I know can be hard to do in this era of social media and internet. In fact, I'll start out with probably the social media is not where you should educate yourself on candidates. I'll start there. Don't listen to your aunt in Omaha, what she heard on some news channel you've never heard of about some candidate. Just don't do that. Just nod your head quietly and move on. But that's how you defeat money is being educated as an electorate. Which, by the way, in our effort, even though this is not federal to do that, I will note we do have booked for after the holiday the 3 Klickitat County Sheriff's candidates and the 3 Klickitat County Commission candidates in the August primary. They will all be on our show over the course of 2 weeks. Actually, I'll remember. We'll get on to social media. Now, I mean, urging you to use it. We're a good channel. I realize this is incredibly hypocritical when to come back with this after I told you not to use social media for a source. But we'll put the schedule of when they're on. And, of course, if you have the podcast, you don't have to worry about that. You'll get the episode anyway. But the Supreme Court did erase limits on how much political parties can spend in coordination with candidates for Congress and president and struck down a federal election law that's more than 50 years old. But again, just go out and, frankly, a lot of people try to tell you the mainstream media, or they use some stupid, horrible nickname that is just, that makes the person, frankly, sound like they haven't graduated fifth grade. Most of the sources are still the best sources. They are. So, I mean, seek them out and educate yourself on the issues and the candidates, and then make your decision. And don't let advertising make a decision for you. I'll leave that soapbox there. Anyway, those were a couple Supreme Court decisions that came down today. They're wrapping up their term today. Look at the other news, by the way, I'm looking at it. It's pretty much the same as it has been. The U.S.-Iran deal is shaky. Well, it's been shaky since it was supposedly put together. Nothing new there. Democrats in Colorado choosing between insurgent progressives and veteran incumbents. Nothing new there. That's been going on all over these primaries. Oh, I see soccer fans were clashing with each other. Again, another non-news story. This in Europe, by the way. In The Hague, after Morocco stunned the Netherlands. Yeah, the rest of the news pretty much is everything is the same. You may feel good or bad about that, depending on how you want to take it. The other sports news day here in Oregon that will bring a lot of people into consternation is the Blazers acquiring Ja Morant, a player with a checkered legal history, 2 suspensions in which I guess he's only played like average 25 games a year the last 3 years after it appeared to be a promising career. And basically this is bringing back memories of the Jailblazers to acquire this individual. Bill Oram, the Oregonian, Oregon Live columnist. It's a column that's up. It was available for free this morning. Highly critical of this. I don't know. To me, it's a backward step for the Blazers. Also, I just kind of go, okay, this guy for 3 years averaged 25 games a year between his legal issues and his own injuries. Why did you acquire him? That to me is an awful risky acquisition for a team that was on the upswing last year. So, of course, don't bring back the coach. You got them through a very difficult situation with the Chauncey Billups situation. And now you make this move? The new ownership of the Blazers, and then throw in the remarks that I outlined last week that he made for the Portland Metro Chamber that basically said, I'm doing you a favor by being here. Right now, I think my point still stands. You know, if you're not willing to pitch in for the arena improvements you want, well, you know, don't let the door hit you on the way out. And I understand there's a lot of big Blazer fans out there who hate me for saying that. I get it. There are teams you love, and you don't want to see the Blazers move. Neither do I. I'm not an NBA fan, but I would not want to see the Blazers move. I have nice memories from my childhood of the Blazers, which is getting further and further away. But I've always contended that since the Blazers had the Jailblazer era, the feeling about the Blazers in the state, at least, outside of the Portland metro area, changed immensely. And I'm not sure they've ever recovered from it. I do think they ceased to be the most popular team in the state. I think the most popular athletic entities in the state of Oregon are Oregon and Oregon State football. I put them in a combo at the time. Right now, the way, unfortunately, college football is disintegrating, probably Oregon football is now well in front. But I hate to say that because I don't like how this has all gone down, and I feel for Oregon. And Oregon State baseball, I think, still has a very good following, and rightfully so. They've succeeded. They had the tough regional at Oregon here a month ago or so. They're still a very high-quality national-level program. I hope they can keep it up through what will be a financially challenging time for that athletic department, because I think they're a great thing. But I think they bypassed for most of the state. Portland, it's still the Blazers, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Especially you live in a world also where, for not a whole lot of expenditure, you can watch any team in this world that you want to watch in any sport. I watch Australian football, okay? I mean, it's available to me very easily. Speaking of Australia, I was looking for a way to get out of that. Our last thing here. Joseph McGrail Bateup, an Australian professional air conditioner cleaner and honorary town crier, has been recognized as the world's loudest person. Guinness World Records last week acknowledged the 58-year-old Canberra resident recorded the loudest ever shout by an individual. He yelled now at 122.4 decibels. That broke the previous record of 121.7 set by Northern Ireland schoolteacher Annalisa Flanagan in 1994. She had yelled an ear-piercing quiet, ironically. Not surprised she's a teacher, by the way, to be able to do that. That is in the noise range, by the way, of a chainsaw, a jet aircraft taking off, and an ambulance siren at close range. He had won a 2024 competition, this sort of thing, by the way, the guy from Australia, with the loudest oye's at 98 decibels. That's the command for silence and attention before an Australian town crier makes a proclamation. By the way, town crier, it's fairly honorary these days. Kind of a bit of fun, he says. So anyway, the shout recorded May 2nd in a Canberra radio studio by a professional acoustic engineer with witnesses present. Guinness last week announced the record was official. I don't think I can get to 122.4 decibels, but I can get to a point where we'll take our break and come back and begin to wrap things up after this.
I am Imelda Padilla. I'm a daughter, a mother, a sister, and a proud member of this community. Being part of Skyline Health, both on the hospital and the foundation board, allows me to support the healthcare that this community needs to keep us strong. That's why I am committed to supporting Skyline, not just as a patient, but as a board member. This hospital makes our community stronger and healthier every day. I am Skyline.
Tune in weekday mornings at 8:05 and keep up with community events and issues with the Mid-Columbia Today Show on Mid-Columbia's news leaders, 98.3 FM and 1340 AM KIHR. Special thanks to our sponsors, Skyline Hospital, Eastside Paving, and Del Carpine Automotive.
It is 8:55 in the morning on Mid-Columbia Today. I got to thinking here for that last segment without a guest here. Maybe we should do a regular segment just called Random Neuron Firings. Yeah, about just like 3 or 4 minutes a week where I just spout off on whatever comes into my mind at the time. Because that's basically what I was doing there. Actually, I had looked up the Supreme Court decisions. I knew those were coming. They were worth mentioning. I also mentioned, we're going to talk to Klickitat County candidates the next 2 weeks. Why don't I go ahead and just tell you right now when they're going to be on? Because we know this. Klickitat County Sheriff's candidate Tony Warren joins us on Tuesday morning of next week at 8:10. Thursday the 9th, Klickitat County Commission candidate Andy Callanan. Friday the 10th, incumbent Klickitat County Commissioner Lori Zoller. She'll also be at 8:10 in the morning. Let's see here. And then my calendar jumped ahead further than I wanted to go here. On Wednesday, July 15th, Klickitat County, I've got him as a commission candidate, but I know he's a sheriff's candidate. John Bruce will join us. On the 16th at 8:10, Bruce is at 8:10. On the 16th at 8:10, it is Gene Klajeski, Klickitat County Commission candidate, and then Dwayne Matulovich, Klickitat County Sheriff candidate, join us on the 17th, a Friday at 8:10 in the morning. So they're all actually, that wasn't really planned, but just worked out that way, in the first segments of our program. So that is what we've got coming up for you as far as Klickitat County, because they've got the August primary coming up. And then in September and October, we will have candidates on. All sorts of them. Hood River, Wasco, legislative, congressional, etc. with us on the show. On the show tomorrow, working on who the first segment is, I can't say yet. Second half of the show, we'll talk about the Next Door. We do have a guest on to talk about one of their programs. Thursday, the final show of the week, by the way. We're not on Friday. Mark Newman, Columbia Gorge Ice Rink, that part of that organization. We've kind of mentioned this last couple days about that this is very close to happening now. There is a permit application before the Hood River County Planning Department, part of a land partition of some industrial commercial land out that Windmaster Corner area. If you go beyond left field from Trainer Field and HRV, kind of back there. And one of those parcels is designated for this ice rink. So we will talk about where that is at. And we'll talk OSU Extension. Next, we're going to talk Hood River County 4-H on Thursday. And that'll be at 8:35 in the second half of the show. Again, no show Friday. Right now we have Dr. Mike Foss scheduled to join us on Monday on the program from Alpine Veterinary. Moving over from Friday the 3rd to Monday the 6th because we have no show on Friday because we will be observing the 4th of July on that day. So that is what we've got coming up. See, anything else I need to tell people about here? What's coming up in the area? We can mention Columbia Gorge Hustlers, Legion Baseball Program. Their poker tournament is Friday evening at 6. Going to be out in the Dalles at the Portage Grill. It's a $50 buy-in. It supports the American Legion Summer Program. I will note that on our events page right now, we've got July 4th activities in White Salmon, the Dalles, Hood River, High Prairie, Mill A, Oregon Veterans Home, Goldendale, Appleton, and Stevenson. So there's all sorts of 4th of July stuff going on. If you're looking for something on Saturday the 4th, go to our events page at gorgeradio.com. You should be able to find something, including in Goldendale, the Demolition Derby, that our friend Jonathan Ross from the KCFM Morning Show, I guess he's doing the PA for that. I wonder if they're ready for him. We'll see. We're done. The orchestra's ready to play. For Cameron Eisenberg, I'm Mark Bailey. Talk to you again on Wednesday.
Columbia Today Show is a public affairs presentation of Bicoastal Media Columbia River. The views expressed on the program are not necessarily those of the station, parent company, or of the sponsors. We welcome your suggestions for future shows. Call us at 541-386-1511. Listen to Mid-Columbia Today where you want. Follow or subscribe to Mid-Columbia Today wherever you download your podcast to get the show delivered every day to your mobile device.